Just ahead on American Black Journal, African American leaders across the country are going back to school to help inspire today's students. We're going to meet some of the Detroit HistoryMakers who are taking part in the event. Plus, a local teenage sculptor is taking the art world by storm. We're going to meet him and see some of his work. American Black Journal starts right now.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. Later this month, more than 400 African American leaders in cities across the country are going to go back to school to share their experiences with students. They're hoping to motivate young people to commit to finishing their education. This day of service is organized by the nation's largest video oral history archive, known as the HistoryMakers. The nonprofit organization preserves the untold stories of both well-known and unsung African Americans. 3 of the Detroit HistoryMakers are here today. Reverend Dr. Jim Holley, who's pastor at Little Rock Baptist Church in Detroit, art dealer and educator George Nanamdi, and Billy Joe Evans, a chemist and chemistry professor. Welcome, gentlemen, to American Black Journal. And I was joking before the show, I don't think they'd let me go back to school because they didn't want me there when I was there. So maybe you guys will have a warmer reception when you go back. George, tell me, what is it that you're hoping to get across to the young people you're gonna talk to?
Well, I go to speak with the children at Nataki Taliba Schoolhouse.
Yeah, you're very involved with that school. Yes, I've known that for a while. Yeah,
we founded that.
Yeah,
school,
right. Yeah,
37,
and it's that's still your project in a lot of ways.
Well, in a supportive way.
Yes.
And we have an exhibit of the school at the Charles Wright Museum currently. But what I like to do really is this more for like exposure. Okay, I think first I go in assuming that the children are going to be successful. And when you assume that children are going to be successful, that's one of the biggest steps that you could have.
Yeah.
That's your expectation, and a lot of times that's what the children live up to, is your expectations.
Sure, sure.
So we don't go in like, you got to work hard. We go in like, of course you're going to be the chemist, you're going to be the physician, you're going to be the artist. Of course you can do all these things. So that's what we do. You know? And this year I want to use this opportunity to kind of focus on an artist. Her name is Gilda Snowden, who just recently passed in the last year. And we want to do like a play about her life. And so we want to expose them to the arts and how she succeeded as an artist and her contribution. Yeah. So that's what we really want.
Well, and that's so important, especially here in Detroit, where a lot of arts programs in schools are just, either non-existent or really spare right now. The kids don't get that exposure.
Yes, and we have a very major play, and the play would be about her life. So this would be a little precursor to that, so the kids could get immersed in it throughout the year. And so, and just say how you can do, because a lot of times a lot of our children need or want to be artists, and that should be an option for them. And a lot of times we don't know how to motivate them in that direction. So that's what I think of.
Reverend Holley, I know about the work you do through the church, through the community, around the church, and of course throughout the city. This is a little bit of a different dynamic, though, going directly to schools to try to share with young people what your experiences were like in school.
Well, with me it's a little bit different because I started the church first, a charter school in Detroit.
That's right.
And so I've been involved in education. That's the way my life, my ministry. The church is right next door to the a school by the Detroit Public School System, All Girls Academy. And so it's easy for us because we've been doing it. Obviously, the whole idea is basically is just to let young people to know that you can, some people can basketball their way out of poverty, they can football the way out. Not of them can't get their rap out, but you can educate your way out. And this is the message that I try to take to the schools. and that is indeed that you got the education is the way out of poverty.
Yeah, yeah. When you, the charter school you run, we should make clear it's a wonderful place.
Right.
I live not far from it. Your kids are, of course, all over,
right.
All over YouTube and everything else
sure.
with their performances. What's the difference between what you're doing there, you feel like, and this kind of idea? And what do you see in the kids in your school versus some other places that you go?
Well, the thing of this is that I see the desire to learn. And I think that what we try to do is to make sure they know we're there. For example, there's mentoring programs after school, homework after school. If you haven't, computers don't have it at home, we try to make sure that you get that. We try to do everything to give the child in the home no reason not to stay in school and not to do well.
Yeah.
And it's been working very well. Obviously, there are challenges with home situations, but that's what the churches really should be all about.
Yeah.
So I'm very hopeful, and really it's just a wonderful. It's just so wonderful to be living in this day and time, because the young people, they're so bright and they're so much smarter than it was when I was coming up.
Right.
And certainly my history in terms of living with segregation, all of my youth, and now they have the opportunities that I didn't have, and nevertheless, people like those of us around this table made it. And with all the stuff that they got before them and with them and the access to, they have no reason not to make it.
Yeah, yeah. A chemist and chemistry professor going back to schools to talk about schooling to kids now. That's an area that especially for African American kids, we need more focus on. We need African American kids to think more about the sciences and math, and to see themselves as being able to do that, to see those as career paths. I would imagine that that's what you will be focusing on when you go.
Yes, that's why I'm going back. But I'm going back also for another reason. If it weren't for the history makers putting us in the schools, we at the university would have to try to find a way to put ourselves in the schools. We can no longer wait for the students to show up at their door. We've got to go in the school before they leave the school.
Yeah.
If we don't, we will never see them.
Yeah, right.
And we recognize that to some extent at the University of Michigan. We have a Wolverine Express that goes to schools throughout the state, so-called underserved schools, with faculty. But the students need to see us so that they know there are people like them doing these kinds of things.
And doing it at a high level. I mean, doing it at the University of Michigan is different from doing it in other places.
And as you know, one of the big challenges for minority youths is that they go to the wrong colleges.
Yeah,
They go to colleges that are below their abilities. And we really must work hard to get them to go to colleges that are commensurate with their abilities and their desires. Exactly.
Don't be shy of the competition.
That's right. That's right.
I would imagine also at the university right now, this is a tough subject to even bring up, because the law says the university can't do it officially, can't even talk about opportunity on the basis of race. But this is an important way to sort of get around that and say, you know what, we can go back and talk about it directly.
And we're creative. We don't talk about minority schools. We talk about underserved schools. And it doesn't
often
matter.
the same way.
Exactly.
You know, as I said, I don't have the particularly fond memories of a lot of my schooling, and that's, you know, that's okay. I turned out all right.
You did.
But I'm wondering if each of you can talk about the things that you remember from being a student that you think will really help kids now see past where they are or see what they could be. George, I'll start with you.
Well, say for my, I guess I'm a little bit like you.
Yeah.
I had fun social memories.
Yeah, right. I had a good time.
I did have fun. And, you know. But I think what kind of motivated me, kept going in terms of school, it was more just there was something else there that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Okay, there's something else there. And coming out, I may not have been in the top part of the class,
right.
But I mean, I guess like you, I guess I did okay.
Yeah,
you know,
more than okay, right?
Know, but
you had something. I mean, you had first of all, you had a passion for something that mattered.
Yeah. Well, the thing, I think one of the biggest things though to me is like your family.
Yeah.
And remember, and like I said earlier, it's like the expectations of you. Now, my family, it's not they say, oh, you're gonna go do something great, but they had expectations you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
we won't have to take care of you. You know, you'll take care of yourself. They had those type of expectations.
Yeah.
And my plan was to do just that.
Yeah.
You know, see, so I would say, you know, giving kids that direction. Sometimes the ones who kind of a little challenging, like I could have been sometimes. Those are the ones you want to come pull to the side.
Those are the ones you want to reach to.
I recall when I was about 14, I told my algebra teacher I was pretty good in math, and I was a mischievous kind of kid. Then there was, you know, if you understand kids, there was mischievous kind, and then there kind of people say they're kind of tough. Okay, so I was in between.
Right.
That. So the teacher asked me, said, "What do you want to do with your life?" I said, "I want to buy real estate. That's all I want to do. I want to graduate from high school, buy real estate." But I'm 13, 14 years old saying that. And he couldn't say anything else to me.
Right.
I'm like, no, you're supposed to say, I didn't say real estate, I said 2 family flats.
Right.
Okay, you know, so he could have stopped me and said,
Yeah.
why don't you go to college to learn about real estate?
Right.
Not, you know,
Turn that into something.
They turn that in as opposed to just dropping it like, oh, you just,
yeah.
you know, so that's what I'm saying. So sometimes we need to, when kids challenge us, so those a lot of times most of your leaders
yes.
are not like the ones who
not
just sit up there.
Not necessarily the A students.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, it's like you look at it and you're like, those were not the ones.
Right.
So yeah.
Reverend Holly?
Yeah, I think that listening briefly, I come from West Virginia, very poor.
Yeah.
Hillbilly, black hillbilly. One teacher was 6 grades, but the teacher was committed.
Yeah.
Well, I went to West Virginia high school, a middle school. Teacher was committed. Well, when I went to Tennessee in high school, the teachers were always there. In Tennessee State, the teachers were always there. So it was segregated,
yeah.
but the teachers were. Then when I went to grad school, the University of Chicago, then it's a different setting. But I was prepared because the teachers are always there. I didn't have much in terms of home incentive, but the teachers gave me incentives.
Right.
And for that, I'm always grateful, and I will always remember them. I can remember my elementary school teacher name, and I can know the Miss Lucas in middle school,
yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
So again, I think that's I owe a whole lot to them.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Professor?
Same for me. The thing that I want to transfer to the students is the immense empowerment that I got from my teachers. And we've got to find those teachers today and give them the resources to empower their students. But with my teachers, I don't have a high school diploma. I didn't finish high school as a result of one of my teachers. So I went to Morehouse directly from the 11th grade.
Wow.
And I ended up at the University of Chicago. That's a good school for black folk. And the other thing is to get students, which is what this event is about, to get them to make decisions, to commit. They can decide that this is going to be a good year for me.
Right.
We have to realize that we need to help them, but they need to make the decision.
Own it themselves.
Right. So when I went to Morehouse, I decided I was not going to go to Spelman. Those were immensely beautiful women, and I knew I couldn't handle it and chemistry at the same time. So I stayed at Morehouse for 3 years. When I was secure, I went over to Spelman in December of my senior year. Found my wife. We married in August, and we've been married ever since.
There you go.
And so they need to realize that they just don't have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
They can decide that I'm going to do this year, and that's one of the things I want to do.
All right. Well, great to have all 3 of you here, and great to have you part of the program.
It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to talk with a local teenager whose life changed after he took a high school art class. His story is next, right after this look at some important moments in Detroit's Black history.
I'm Ken Coleman with a look back at African American life in Detroit. This week in 1962, President John F. Kennedy appointed Hobart Taylor to the Committee on Equal Employment Opportunities. In 1953, Grammy Award-winning guitarist and Mumford High School graduate Earl Klugh was born. And in 1984, Congressman George Crockett called for the release of South African freedom fighter Nelson Mandela. These are significant events this week in Detroit's Black history, taken from the book On This Day, African American Life in Detroit.
My next guest is an example of what can happen when life throws you a curveball. Austen Brantley enrolled in a ceramics class in high school in order to boost his GPA, but it turned out to be a life-changing decision. 19-year-old Austen is now an emerging artist whose work has been on display at galleries and art fairs, including the African World Festival here in Detroit and Arts, Beats, and Eats. Plus, he has a solo exhibition coming up at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. Austen was featured last year in an episode of Detroit Performs here on Detroit Public Television. And on September 18th, he's going to be one of the artists at the Detroit Performs Live event at the Fillmore Theater. I'm pleased to have Austen Brantley here on American Black Journal. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to two pieces, magnificent examples of your work. I'm not sure how well this translates on television, but the detail that is evident in these sculptures is really just amazing. I was telling you before the show that sculpture is my favorite medium. I really, really relate to the three-dimensional nature of that expression of art, and I'm really blown away by the pieces you brought here. And to be 19 and doing this, I think makes it even more remarkable. So congratulations to you, first of all, on all your great work. Tell me, how did you figure out that ceramics was something and sculpture was something that you could do and be good at? You signed up for this course seeking something different, and this is what you found.
Yeah, when I started, I wanted to just have an easy A, you know, boost my GPA in high school. And then,
we've all done that before. That's not a
so I
problem.
thought ceramics was that class that you know, just helped me out, and then it turned out it changed my whole life.
I mean, was it in that class that you figured out that, hey, this is something I'm really interested in?
I found my passion in, and it kind of found me at the same time. Because I was just like, the first day I wore gloves, I didn't even want to touch the clay. I thought it was so dirty. And then I started making these faces, and they started speaking back to me almost. Because I was able to get so much detail into them. And I started to express myself in the clay. And from then on, it was just like almost like a conversation every day.
Wow.
Just working.
Between you and the material. Yeah. And so in this class, were you drawing these faces from your mind? Were you drawing them from images? I mean, where did it come from?
Just from up here and here. So
yeah.
I was just following my heart, you know, just following what I instinctively felt like I was being very intuitive with my medium.
And is that where most of the work is coming from for you now? Even that you're not these pieces we're looking at are not models of people that you were looking at while you were doing it. These are faces that are in your mind.
Yeah.
Wow. And where do you think they're coming from?
I have a lot of African art influences and also, you know, classical sculptors influences. So I'm looking at everything, and then I have live models that I use as well. So they inspire me with the poses and that I pick out for them. And then also, I'm trying to also transform that energy into clay.
Yeah, and the models are the two sculptures we're looking at are both worked in clay, correct?
Yeah, this is from my imagination, while this one is from a model.
Okay. And what would you say this piece that we're looking at, the head, looking up, looking a little certainly introspective? What is this piece saying?
This piece is called I Exist. It's the actual second series that I've done of another piece called I Exist. But that one was more confused and angry, while this one is more to overcome your oppressor. It represents American slavery, and all the tarnished and kind of all the forms are kind of just like scratched over and rough and crude. But it represents his face is calm though, so it represents going through all that drama, all that struggle.
Yeah, he's thinking there. He's somewhere other than with the misery that he might be experiencing, and that just came to you, that idea. Wow. And what about this other piece here?
This piece is called Contemplation. It's called Contemplation because it's supposed to be thought-provoking, so it needs to have like a lot of expression in it. So it needs to. Yeah,
I mean the pose that the model is very expressive. I mean, she's saying something very specific with the way that her body is posed. Was that the way that you had the model pose for the sculpture? Yeah. Talk about where you see this going for you. I mean, obviously, you've gotten a lot of recognition at a very young age for this. How are you refining the skill? Is this something that you feel like you need to study?
I'm practicing every day. And, I seek out other sculptors from all over the world and ask for their opinions and what they think about the forms that we use. So I'm always teaching myself and practicing in my studio every day. Yeah. It's just kind of like, it's like living itself has become the art.
Yeah. Who are some of the sculptors that you find the most sort of inspiring, either in history or modern?
In history, definitely Auguste Rodin, the thinker.
Yeah. Right. I was going to say, we've got a couple of good examples just around town, right? that you can go look at. And I definitely see that influence.
Oh, thank you.
In this piece in particular, the sort of roughness of the hair and the very fine detail is similar to what we see on the thinker.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And who are some of the other influences for you?
Gian Lorenzo Bernini from the Baroque period. Just studying all these different time zones where art has changed and things, like different simple things matter, like how the pose is for Michelangelo, like it changes over time. People try and like break loose from different things and break the rules. So I've tried to notice that and study it and amplify it into my artwork.
Yeah, and so you grew up here in Detroit and went to Detroit public schools, or?
I went to Berkeley High School.
You went to Berkeley High School, okay, and that's where you had this ceramics class that inspired you, right? What would you say to other young people who are interested in art about how to make that translation from here's something I'm doing in class to here's something that's now defining my life?
I would say not to get discouraged, because at a young age you can, like when you're drawing or something, you can get real discouraged that it's not looking the way you want it to, but you have to remember that art is very introspective and subjective, so you have to just kind of not go with the flow, but just follow your heart and also intuition.
That's a really interesting way to put it. Talk about that though. How do you follow that? How do you feel that first time in a way that it comes out in the art that you're producing?
For me, it's clay, because clay takes the form of anything, any shape that you press into it. So it's really expressive, and you can do so much with it. You breathe on it, and it changes.
And it changes,
sure. So it's really, I can actually it's like I can transfer my energy into it. It can take the shape of anything. So that's just what I remember, that I can do anything. Limited with clay.
So what will your exhibition include at the Charles H. Wright? That's a big deal too, right?
We're still setting up all the details and everything. Hopefully most of my biggest works and just a variety of all my thoughts and kind of how I manifest my visions in the clay.
Yeah. And we should say, people can visit your gallery, and your work is for sale, right? We were talking about that before. I think maybe you might be lowballing on some of the prices. It could raise those a little, but it really is amazing work.
Thank you.
Congratulations again on all of your success.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, again, you can see Austen's artwork at Detroit Performs Live on Friday, September 18th at the Fillmore in downtown Detroit. That event is a gala fundraiser for Detroit Public Television, and it features visual artists and musical performers, including Alexander Zonjic, Betty Levette, Ty Stone, Jessica Hernandez, and many, many more PBS favorites. You can buy tickets at dptv.org. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching. You can get more information about our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org. And as always, connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. Plus, you can hear our program on WDET 1019 FM. We'll see you next time.
This program is part of American Graduate. Let's make it happen. A public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.